Hello everyone, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video. When I was a young girl, I used to love the Visco girls. I wanted to be a Visco girl so bad. I was chronically online even back then, which I don't know how old I was, like 14. And I wasn't 14. No. I was like 18. Ugh, I got goosebumps. Let's say I was like 17, 18, and I was ahead of the curve. I was chronically online. All the American girls were being Visco girls. It didn't really arrive in Germany yet. I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to be Haley Pham. Of course I wanted to be Emma Chamberlain. Sorry. Who doesn't? Okay. But that is when I first found Haley Pham's content. Around that time, I would say. And so I have been aware of Haley Pham for years. Half of my life, and that's why it makes me even more joyous that she has published a book and I am here to review it. I think along with Emma, I did like watching her the most, which abruptly changed once she went to Greece. I do want to give a disclaimer. I want to talk about Haley and then my history with her and her as a person in general before I talk about the book. I do want to say though that I think in this space we can all agree that she got the book deal because she's a booktuber and she has a large following. I think it's safe to say that. Anyone that says otherwise is delusional in my opinion. But just because that is true doesn't mean that her being hardworking and deserving don't have to be true at the same time. You know, two things can be true at once. She can be a hardworking person that really worked hard on this book, but she can also be a person that was given a book deal because of her following, and that's why she had it easier. And I think it's just a little bit, I don't really know what it is. I think that two things can be true at once, and pretending like she didn't get this book deal because she's a booktuber is, what is the word? I keep starting the sentence and I don't even know the word. It's just a little bit inconsiderate because I think that's like, why else? The book was really not good. And that's fine, you know. She got the opportunity and she seized it. She's a businesswoman, self-proclaimed. But just because I didn't like the book doesn't mean that everybody doesn't like the book and you can like what you like and I like what I like, and this is not a personal attack on people who like the book. You're free to your opinion, and I love that you found something that you enjoy. I probably like things that you don't like, and I mean that. I feel like people don't really know if they can trust me. Trust me. I mean that. And with that, let's talk about Haley Pham. As I said, I watched her when I was 17 or 18, whenever this Visco era was. I just remembered it because I was definitely all in. I was definitely blonde, and I had a puka shell necklace, and that's when the Visco era was. That's what I remember. I remember it vividly, actually. And along with Emma, I really enjoyed watching Haley for whatever reason. I watched her when she was still living at home. I watched her before she met Ryan Trahan, which my opinion on Ryan Trahan, because you asked, is I don't care about a blonde man. I really don't. I didn't know who he was before Haley. Don't know who he is still. Never watched their content together because he got on my fucking nerves. That was probably one of the reasons I also stopped watching Haley. She released that fugly clothing line that I really tried to get behind, but it was really ugly. And she went to Greece and said, don't go to Greece, their economy is struggling. And I've talked about her before in a video where I explained this to you guys because I don't think a lot of people remember it, but then again, she said all she thinks when she was 18 and she has since apologized for them. I don't think she would make a video like that again today, but it was crazy at the time. It was like, it's like a core memory for me watching that video, like originally. I was like, what the fuck is she going on about? And I specifically remember it because in the video she was she caught a disease, a coochie disease, and it was super rare. And she basically said, why me? Like, I'm staying pure until marriage. Why did God punish me? I don't want my coochie to scar because I'm trying to stay pure, which my mind couldn't really comprehend. And then she also said that a doctor wanted her to get a CAT scan, and that's what I specifically remember because my little German mind was like, what is a CAT scan? I think she would actually drop dead if she found out that I had 2 MRIs within a month and I didn't have to pay for them. I have something with my Bandscheibe. Anywho, she made that crazy video about Greece, and that was kind of when I was like, okay, what the fuck? And then she started doing like house hunting video I don't know if she did a series on that or not. That's like when I stopped watching. And that's another core memory for me as a German, because I watched that and she was touring these big ass houses with like multiple bedrooms. And I was like, why the fuck would you ever need a house like that? It was such a crazy concept to me, and it still is. I haven't changed my mind on this. Why Americans need these big ass houses? Why are they so big? Why are the ceilings so high? And then she had a COVID wedding. Yeah, I don't really know what else she's been doing besides book videos. And I've never once watched book videos of hers. But I'm glad they're going well for her and that she got this deal, of course. So with this book, Just Friends, she started writing it in 2022, and I actually did not look up how she got this book deal or what the story is behind it. But if I had to guess, it would be she maybe announced or she maybe expressed interest in writing a book, and then a publisher approached her. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I didn't check it because I was lazy. And then this book came out in March of 2026, I'm pretty sure. But I read it in the month it came out. I think it was March or April. And then now it's July. I didn't review it because I was really lazy. But I also have to say, I will be lying in this video. I don't remember things that happened in March. Sorry, I don't even remember my own life in March. How the fuck am I supposed to remember this random ass book? Arguably, I haven't read much after, to be precise, like one book I read after this, so maybe I can't remember. I'm just gonna give a disclaimer that maybe not everything I say is true. Maybe. Of course, I will try my best to be accurate. This is also a challenge for Haley Pham to see how memorable her book is. For someone who hasn't read or has only read one book since reading her book in March, how much I remember of it. Because of course a good book is also memorable. It's a factor of, yeah. Before this book came out, of course, there was also a little bit of drama on TikTok of a girl that got an ARC saying this book is really bad. You can tell it was written by someone who dropped out of high school, which people were like, don't say that, which especially in her case, as a long-time viewer, I noticed, of course. She dropped out because she got in trouble with the school. Then she was suspended, and it was her own choice to drop out. Very close to her graduating. She was in her senior year. I think she was in her senior year. But I remember it was very close to her graduating. And even at the time, I remember being like, why the fuck would she do that? I think that the girl who made that TikTok just meant that the writing wasn't very good, and then she knew that Haley didn't graduate high school and therefore put the blame on that. At the end of the day, the writing of the book was very bad. She also complained in the TikTok that she uses a lot of big words, and then people were arguing in the comments being like, yeah, like this and that word, and I forgot what it was, but it was not a very big word, and that was then like kind of like, maybe you're the problem, maybe you just don't know words. Sorry. Like the conglomerate of pedestrians or whatever the fuck the line is that is in this book is crazy. But there are no other lines that are that crazy that stuck out to me. I thought it was normal. I can give her some grace. It was fine. Maybe you just don't know any big words. Or maybe you just don't know any words because the word that she said wasn't big. I wish I still remembered. Sorry. And then of course a very interesting fact is that Haley Pham and Alex Astor came together. I think Alex maybe came out with a book at the same time or whatever. I don't know how friendly they are, but this was for her, Haley Pham's book release, the release party, and she said the theme is party. Everyone come in their party outfits, and this is what she wore. This girl has never been to the club. Could be different kinds of parties, of course, but what the fuck, Alex? I also thought Alex Astor was shoeless for a second. I wanted to go into it with an open mind to see what it has to bring. I don't like contemporary romance in the first place, so I'm very hard to impress with contemporary romance anyway, but this is, you know, I didn't expect much and I didn't get much. Got even less than I expected. Already on her new series, so don't fret, but also beware that this book is like an autobiography in the sense that this is her ideal life. Like, this is all her life, but ideally she met her boyfriend Ryan in high school so she could stay pure forever and didn't have a different boyfriend, which she did in real life before him. Sorry, that was mean. I don't know if I reviewed it, but it's basically her glamorizing her own life and like writing a fan fiction about her own life. So I am interested to see what the fuck she's writing next. There's not much, nothing's giving anymore. The inspiration has dried up. Without further ado, let's get into the book. I actually don't have that much to say about it because it is a contemporary romance and it's relatively short. Just like every contemporary romance book, it's boring. There's nothing happening and they kiss in the end. As I said earlier, this reads like Haley Pham's fan fiction about her own life, and I am aware that if you don't know about her, you would know that this is fan fiction about her own life, obviously, but that's why I'm here to tell you. It's interesting, I have like 3 notes in total for this book. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. I remember correctly, the main character's name is Blair. She moved to New York to be specific, for law or finance, because she went to college and now she wants to get a job in finance. Oh yeah, I think she's fresh out of college and she got an internship position in one of the big 4. Maybe let's just look into the book, maybe I can figure it out. Anyway, Blair's background is she has a mom and a dad, but her dad left her mom and I think he also abused her. And so it was just Blair and her mom, and they moved in with Blair's aunt, but like her great aunt, not direct aunt, like, you know, extended family. And then she was raised in this coastal town where her aunt or grandma, whoever that is, lived. Did I say grandma or aunt? I forgot. We have an iconic line on page 2 of the Kindle that reads, "That feeling is personified in my stomach right now," which is arguably not the best sentence to write. Then we have, there's one local bookstore in Seabrook, California, which I love. That's so cute how Americans do that. Like, okay, Seabrook, California. And then every time she mentions Seabrook, it's like, Seabrook, California. Okay. Paris, France. Yeah. It's funny because I recently went to Italy for a week with university, and my friend told me she looked up the crime rate or if it's a dangerous city, and it read that it's a very dangerous city. The one we're going to in Italy. And I was like, I can't believe that. I don't think the city we're going to, it doesn't seem very dangerous. I googled it. Well, it was the same city name, but in Ohio. With the crime rate really high. So I get it. I just think it's really funny. Especially when it's like unmistakable cities where like Paris, like I know you mean Paris, France. Like I can't, why the fuck would you mean another Paris? There's one local bookstore in Seabrook, California, and it's only open during the busy tourist season, which seems to be now, judging by the crowds. I have to yield to a conglomerate of pedestrians almost every 10 feet. I think most of the cringe lines happen in the first chapter, actually, so we're almost there. And if you grew up your whole life in this town, why do you write which seems to be now? Like you would know when the busy tourist season is, no? Maybe just me. She's going back to Seabrook, California, away from her internship, because the woman that helped raise her is dying. She doesn't have much longer to live, and so she wants to spend the final days with her. That's why she's coming back to Seabrook, California, and she's driving there, and we of course need to somehow get exposition on everything that is going on, who everyone is. And so the best idea that Haley Pham could come up with is, well, she wants to go to a bookstore. The reason is great. And in the bookstore she meets one random person that she went to high school with, and that person explains us everything. The reason she goes into the bookstore is, there's a book I just finished on my Kindle last night I want a physical copy of. Frivolous, I know. Frivolous was the word that the person said is a big word. Calm down. But I'm unwilling to restrain myself from any hit of dopamine right now. I'll take any ounce I can get to prepare me for what's to come. Which is like, okay. Okay, I've never finished a book on my Kindle and went and got it in physical form, I'm gonna be honest. I just remember reading that reasoning and I was like, what the fuck? She couldn't think of a better reason for her to go to the bookstore? Just say there's a new release. Consumerism? 2 weeks ago I got the call. If you've ever gotten the call in your life, you'll unfortunately know what I mean. I hate when they address me directly. Leave me the fuck out of this. This is not my business. So her great-grandmother, aunt, who was dying, whoever she is, she owns some supermarkets, and so she has money. Keep that in the back of your mind. Maybe Haley herself said this, or I don't know if it came from other people, but she was allegedly heavily inspired by Emily Henry, who I have never read a book from Emily Henry before, so I wouldn't know. But from what I know, she makes references to other books in her books. And so Haley tries this out with a very niche book, saying, as a kid, the short walk made me feel like a character from The Hobbit. Okay. Haley Blair, I mean, had a boyfriend in high school. His name was Declan Rice. And Declan Rice and her broke up because she was like, you don't even know what I want from life. And it's like, we'll get to the falling out they had, but it was a little bit too silly. And he's blonde, of course, like Ryan. And I think, again, she just really would have loved to meet Ryan in high school and have this epic high school sweetheart love story, which they started dating when they were like 18 or 19. I think that's still fine. But how much younger do you want to be? She doesn't really know what's up with Declan. When we lost contact, I continued to believe he went to play football for D1 college, simply for following the trajectory he was on, being watched by agents who kept their eye on rising stars. Surely once he healed, he could take his pick off any college team because he had an accident that like broke his leg or something. So I don't really know why she would think that after such an injury you could ever become a pro again, but alas. Maybe I'm oblivious to how much damage the accident caused. Obviously, that's what I just fucking said. But Declan and his mom, yes, I checked, hadn't left a single social footprint on the internet, much to my dismay, which is a very odd wording. Social footprint? Yeah, whatever. She ends up going to a coffee shop in town after coming home to her great-grandma aunt, twice removed, because she really needs a coffee and she doesn't have anything else to do. And to her shock and dismay, she finds Declan, her high school sweetheart, at this coffee shop, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I work here. They're a little bit shook, both of them, because there's history, obviously. She wants to work at this coffee shop, but she wants to work there before she finds out that Declan works there. And it turns out he's also the owner. So she approaches a girl that is working there and is like, hey, are you looking for workers? The girl's like, let me ask my boss. And then Declan comes out and they talk to each other. And they're both a little bit like taken aback from this interaction. And then Blair in her head goes, I compose my face into a well-poised mask. The goal is manic pixie dream girl. The execution is probably more resentful, bitter, immaturely obsessed. I have no idea what that means. No idea what that sentence is supposed to mean. She introduces herself to the girl working there. She goes, I'm Blair. And then the girl goes, cool name, no E at the end, like in Gossip Girl. How the fuck would you know that? And then she nods in confirmation. No E at the end, like in Gossip Girl. You just wanted to do a pop culture reference, but like, why the fuck would... It's like if I introduce myself as Sophie and they're like, oh, PH or F? Okay, what the fuck does that matter right now? After our FaceTime ends, my lock screen illuminates. The image stares up at me, taunting. It's a screenshot from one of my favorite movie scenes at the end of Lady Bird, when she's walking down the streets of New York City. She has tears streaking down her face, but she just keeps walking, not really sure where she's trying to go. Okay. And then it goes on. She turns onto Waverly Place and Washington Square Park, and then is lured into a cathedral from hearing a choir inside. After a moment, she leaves the church and calls her mom. Her relationship with her mom couldn't be more different from mine, but there's something about the way that movie captures the city. She's young, confused still, and she'll go, but she's there. She's ready. It's like, okay, that's all on your lock screen? You know, now that I'm talking about it, I'm not exactly sure if she got an internship offer from the Big Four or a job position, like an associate position. But for whatever reason, Haley thinks you can get that straight out of college is like beyond me. Who gets that straight out of college? Is that the world we're living in right now? She goes to her great-grandma aunt, twice removed, and tells her about her day, that she met Declan Rice at the coffee shop and that he works there and she's trying to work there. She wants to work there over the summer. She's still planning to go back in the fall for her new internship or job. We're not sure about that. Blair tells her great-grandma, twice removed, guess who I just ran into at the coffee shop? And the grandma goes, who, baby? And then it says, she croaks out the nickname I've always had in her deep smoky voice. Your nickname is Baby? Yeah, okay. Thank you for clarifying that that's your nickname, because otherwise I would have thought she was talking about an unspecific baby that I haven't seen so far. Like, why would I think anything but that, like, of course I know that's a nickname. Like, why are you clarifying? Like, and why is that the nickname? Could you not come up with, like, Bug or something? Declan freaking Renshaw. He's the manager of the place, apparently. My lack of curse words is a habit from my mom telling me it was unladylike to swear. Also such an unnecessary line. Okay, your mom is enforcing sexist and misogynistic stereotypes. Makes me like her less. Anyway, her grandma, aunt, cousin, twice removed dies. And she's very upset about this, arguably. She dies very early on. And we get some flashbacks in between to Blair and Declan Rice's backstory in high school, how they learned to love each other from being friends before and then starting to date. And then for some reason they're talking about her absent father, which Haley Pham also has an absent father, if you were wondering. I don't know if he's absent actually, I just know he got a divorce. Why did I say it like a divorce? I just know that her parents divorced when she was in high school, and that's why she became the sole breadwinner for the family. And I don't know if her mom has a job in this book. I think she works at the grocery store that the great-grandma, twice removed, has. She has 7 grocery stores, to be specific. So Declan is complaining about her dad, and he goes, oh wait, he says, sorry, I wasn't going to call him stupid again, my bad, but you know what I mean. This is the most high school boy response of all time, and yet it's really working for me. He goes on almost like he's talking to himself as the story sinks in. He doesn't know how much you like dystopian books and writing your own stories when you should be paying attention in class, and that you're really, really bad at math. Because of course the main character wants to become a writer. If the main character would have been like a dancer, that would have been 2 on the nose, maybe. Maybe the next book. I don't need help was probably in my mother's top 10 phrases, and it was worse seeing her sweaty brow with hair blasted to her forehead as she ran from the front of the convenience store to the back with a notepad in her hand, scribbling numbers for restocks and a map for the shocking amount of cash-paying customers. Let me talk. This great-grandma twice removed cousin has 7 convenience stores. Sorry, I said grocery. 7. And she, of course, has Blair's mother working there as a whatever. Now, this woman is dead. So someone else needs to take over. Right? As soon as that lady died, my understanding was that the mother was now the manager of all of 7 stores, which is also a little bit weird because when you have a manager for each store and then you would just like be in the back, but whatever. Hands on, I guess. Blair is trying to make me believe that the mom just keeps working normally as like a cashier. And more crazily, with a notepad taking stock per hand on a piece of paper. What the fuck kind of grocery store is this? In what area are we time-wise? Is this the 90s or do we have no digitalization? What the fuck? I've never worked somewhere where you've had to scribble something per hand, and if this was like a single convenience store by the seaside, okay, I would understand. 7 convenience stores? She has like a whole branch? She has like a, you know, multiple locations? I don't believe it. Something fishy's going on. I think she's embezzling funds. And then we get scenes, we'll get to it, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like what, maybe in America things are going differently. You don't have a computer? You don't have a stock system? She gets hired by Declan, which she finds really odd. They're not really speaking to one another. They're kind of trying to not confront each other about their past, right? They're kind of both avoiding it. There's nothing really notable about Declan besides the fact that he's blonde and he was supposed to go to college for football because he was really good, but he got injured and he couldn't go. So now he has a coffee shop. Something about this feels like a skit. I'm the one who taught him how to drink coffee in the first place. Todd? How do you teach someone to drink coffee? And I think it's really fun that he goes, come over here, and then explains to her how to make a coffee, like on her first shift. And it's funny because he hasn't even shown her around yet. Like she comes to the store and she's like, hey, I'm here for my first shift. And he's like, here's your apron, make a coffee for me, bitch. Can you maybe show me where the toilets are? Like if you start working anywhere, you get a tour, no? The facility? No, make the fucking coffee and shut the fuck up. Then she addresses me again. Stop talking to me. You know that look movie characters get on their face when they realize it's the beginning of the end? That they're the idiot hurtling towards some inevitable conclusion? That was me. Hurling towards an immovable end. I was going to get answers from him this summer. Perhaps by osmosis alone. Stop. Osmose? Okay, you know what, maybe I retract the statement from the beginning where I was saying she doesn't even use that big of words. This is not a big word, but it's like just perhaps by osmosis? You didn't come up with that. What the... This bitch does not know what... I'm sorry. That was mean. Okay, let's just move past that. I hate when characters address me head on. You don't know I'm here. And I think I'm not bothered by the big word, whatever the fuck she means with those. I know what she means with that, but like, why the fuck she used that? Okay, whatever. I'm not as bothered by that as by the fact that she inconsistently addresses the reader head on. It's very randomly and sporadically throughout the book. I feel like if you want to write that kind of way, you have to make it more consistent. Otherwise, it's not working. But that's just me. Next. Then it's the funeral. I look to the back of the room to start planning my escape when my eyes catch on a tall figure standing in the doorway. And she knows exactly who it is. Why is he standing there like fucking Slender Man? I'm scared. And he's blonde. Blonde Slender Man is like my worst nightmare, actually. I think Slender Man being blonde instead of bald would be even more scary. Some more quotes read, I tilt my head to the side like a dumbfounded golden retriever, minus the golden part. Yeah. Warum? Why? Sorry. Why not golden retriever? Why minus the golden? Why just a retriever? A little bit weird, okay. Little throwback to when he was playing football. We have this game in the bag now, but it doesn't diminish the friends we feel as a collective. Watching a team with your school's name dominating the field. The epic highs and lows of high school football. Anyway, back in high school, they started dating after being friends for a long time, and it's really boring, but I would say that overall, they did have more chemistry in their flashbacks than they did in present time. Neither was much, but it was better. Yeah. She has two friends in New York from college, and both of them don't really reach out to her. They end up visiting her later, but they don't understand the severity of her loss, which she underlines by saying, I don't think they understand how close I was to her. Most people don't grow up with their great aunt, I realized. You realized? I don't even know who my great aunt is. Like, of course, if someone told me my great aunt raised me, I would be like, I bet you're really close to that woman, so I don't really understand this reasoning. As if she didn't talk about it to her two friends that she has throughout the time that she's known her, but but okay. Okay! They don't really try to console her after the death of her great grandma aunt cousin. So that is her issue. And instead of confronting them about it, because I feel like if I was in that situation, they called me on the phone and they were like, oh, sorry that happened, I would probably just like, I would get really mean. So then it's revealed that the coffee shop is undergoing renovations. I feel like I'm making space for someone to appear, my special guest, the ghost in my room. And this is like a way for Declan to just spend more time with Blair. They are doing renovations, but he calls them extra hours and is paying her extra for them, but it's just his way of like spending more time with her. And they pitch it to her, or he pitches it to her by saying they're actually separate from being a barista. Technically, the coffee shop is undergoing renovations, so overtime hours would start at 7 tonight, and you'll be working with raw wood and paint and stuff. Is that okay with you? What the fuck? Is that okay? Raw wood? What do you mean raw wood? But what kind of else is, what other state could the wood be in? They mean like finished wood, but like what? Yeah, I'm okay with that. If I'm helping renovations, I think I'm aware that there will be exposed things that I'm working, whatever. Like, of course I'm working with paint. So Declan in high school gets into an accident that I don't remember what it was, doesn't really matter, but it is to a point that he can't play football anymore, and Blair goes, you're too creative to stay bored for long. You like engineering, right? You could build stuff. Because he's like, I can't go to college for football anymore. She's like, you could build stuff. You could become an engineer. Nee. What the fuck do you think engineers do? Either this is Haley Pham not knowing what engineers do. No one really knows what engineers do, to be fair. But of course, I did study for 2 semesters to become an industrial engineer, so I know. And I was not building anything. Or this is her trying to have the character be a dumb high schooler who doesn't know what engineers do, but I think it's the first option. So he gets into this accident that leaves him unable to play football, but they're still together. Like, she doesn't leave him. I thought that maybe it had something to do with that. or slash, I think before reading this timeline, it was already clear that they had a falling out and that Declan had an accident in the past. But to my understanding, the accident happened after they had gone no contact. So she didn't know, whatever. The timeline was not clear. Then they talk about her upbringing in the past when they were in high school, and again, this confused me so much. What I mean is, I grew up in this town because my great aunt could afford it. So I hung out with kids whose parent could afford it. And I started to forget that I wasn't like them. Everyone rattled off the list of Ivy Leagues they were applying to, and I somehow followed suit without much thought. So much so that I forgot to ask my mom if we could afford it. I just assumed we could because everyone else can. But if I want to go to college, I have to pay for it, I say, driving my pointer finger into my chest. And also, I can't be going to college for creative writing. What was I thinking? I need to be strategic. I need to put myself in a position to get a high-paying job, one high enough to support me and my mom. And this is like, okay, this is also this is Haley, right? She, after their parents divorced, her mom lost her job, and then Haley was like the breadwinner for both of them. And that's kind of what the thought process of this character is like. But your aunt is rich, and you've been living with her since before you were in school. Or maybe in elementary school, like before you went to high school. You've been living with her for a considerable amount of time. You are so close that she's like a second mother to you. And then she's like, I can't afford it. What? Do you think your mom pays rent? Like, it was very clear from the beginning that this aunt person that helped raise Blair was supporting them financially and was just paying for everything, no thought. She has 7 convenience stores, however much they make, I'm not sure. But enough for her to support them. And she doesn't have a husband of her own or kids of her own, as far as we know. As far as I remember. Not as far as we know, as far as I remember. So she was just supporting Blair and Blair's mom and giving Blair's mom a job at the grocery store. Not because she necessarily needed one, but yeah, she needed one, but you know, she didn't want to be greedy, but she was paying for them. And I don't know why she, even in that position, would think, maybe this isn't when they're in high school. Guys, I'm sorry. It's been a long time. No, this is when they're in high school because they're about to kiss. But it really confused me why Blair would think that, when to me as the reader it was clear from the beginning that that was not an issue. Like, everything she is saying is not an issue. She could have gone to an Ivy League if she wanted to and maybe get a scholarship. Like, all her thoughts are very one way, and there's like no other options, you know. She's not even thinking about other options. So I don't know. I kiss his temple softly at first and then move to his cheek. I kiss his temple softly at first, okay, and then move to his cheek. What at first and at second? You kiss his temple hard. They kiss for the first time, and before they kiss, he says, "End me now," which is just cringe. We're in a fucking romance and you're like 17 in high school. It's really not that deep. Then it's renovation time. If you want to get started, the ceiling needs a top coat. You'll have to use the ladder to reach it, if that's okay. He asks, gaze staying pointedly down. Yeah, sounds good. I put pretty good at using a ladder in my application, so I reply, deadpan. He doesn't offer so much as a polite chuckle. I also wouldn't laugh at that fuck-ass joke. And then it says, ouch. And the ouch is just on the page without a period. It just says ouch in italics. While they're working these overtime renovation hours, they get into a fight. This is the first time they've been alone since high school. Then we go back to high school. It reads, we shuffle our sock-clad feet up the carpeted stairs and enter his bedroom. There's too much detail. What the fuck, sock-clad feet? He walks over to the unopened letter and rips into it. Boys, I think, shaking my head, clawing their mail open like a bear instead of neatly tearing the top. Okay. Boys. And then we finally get the reveal what their big fight was that they had, which resulted in them breaking up and going no contact. And it was because they were both choosing to go to college at the time. And they were fighting over whether they were going to do long distance or how they were going to do it. I'll just read it all out to you so you can follow along with me, and not because I forgot about it and need to be reminded, of course. People do long distance all the time. We can make it work. But what about our plan? How are we going to have time for long distance when I'm training? If you thought high school football took up a lot of my time, you have no idea what's in store. Multiply it all by 1,000 and then add the time change, homework, and FaceTime or texting to the equation. It seems plausible at first, but then try to keep it up for 4 whole years. It's insanity. So you'd rather just end this? You don't want to try? I say, voice wavering. And he goes, of course not. And then he says, come with me. And then she goes, what do you mean come with you? I didn't get into Notre Dame. I know, but and then she goes, oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. An unexpected burst of anger rises in me at the realization of what he's offering. A second ago I felt tiny, now I feel the astonishment expanding beyond my body in heat waves. He wants me to drop my dreams of going to Pepperdine to follow him. I would never want to go to a college that's called Pepperdine, it's a silly name. He wants me to drop my dreams of going to Pepperdine to follow him, where I'll be without a degree, without the path of getting a career, and without anyone I know other than him. At least she's finishing high school. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, I've already had coaches tell me they see more potential in me than most guys playing on their college teams right now. Okay, so he hasn't had the accident yet. I've been lying. He gets accepted into college and then he gets the accident. Okay, I'm sure I marked it. We'll talk about it when it happens. So she's really apprehensive to this idea because she wants to follow her own dreams, and she's like, we can do long distance, and he's like, no, I have to play football really bad. It's not about just my life, it's also my mom's too. And look at us, if step 1 of our plan could go so alright, and what makes you think steps 2, 3, and 4 will go smoothly? We don't even know if we'll make it to the NFL, blah 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 blah. And she's really worked up over this because she goes, my mother had been working on her feet at the convenience store since I was 5, so they've been with this great aunt since she was 5. She was always complaining about her back, just like me with my Bandscheibe. Always had sweat above her brow. Stop. Didn't I read that out earlier? The exact same sentence? What is it with sweat on her brow? It's weird that it happened twice. She never brought a single friend or man over to the house because it wasn't hers. None of it was. It was all Lottie's, which is the aunt. I wanted to buy her freedom from that. So my thing is, this is all in the main character's head. This is all in Blair's head. This is never communicated, and that's also like the point of contention, or not really, I don't really know how to say it later, but she talks to her mom, and her mom is like, you could have just told me, like, I never asked you to do this for me, like, I was living a good life, I don't know what the fuck your issue is. And it's because this main character just never talked to her mom about any of this. She just felt like, because her dad left and abused her mom, they were now indebted. Sorry, I haven't spoken English in a long time. They were now in debt to Lottie, who took them in willingly and has been financing their entire life without ever complaining, and who they are really close to. And the mom is even working at the convenience store. So still in her mind, she's like, no, I need to free my mom of Lottie, which it just doesn't really make any sense to me, because the bond that she describes is so close with this Lottie character. Why she would still feel this way. And why the fuck she doesn't just open her fucking mouth and communicate. And then she of course says, that's what my mom did. She followed her husband, and then look where she ended up without anything. Of course his suggestion to go to college with him is crazy, but I think she just kind of overreacted a little bit. And then they never speak again after this. This is the big falling out, because she's like, you don't even know me. You don't understand what I stand for. Why would you even recommend this? One of her friends is married, and they have like text exchanges, and she writes, our group chat has been dying. And then they're writing for some reason about Facebook, and one of the friends goes, okay, housewife, didn't know you knew so much about Zuckerberg's origin story, and Berg is written wrong. And I'm not sure if that's a conscious choice. After Lottie dies, the great aunt cousin, it's also revealed that the mom now manages the grocery stores, and that Lottie left Blair a house by the coast. She's then neighbors with Declan, and as I said, when they're doing the renovations, they fight for some reason. Then they make up. Blair is just continuously very mean to everyone, especially to him, and I don't really know why he keeps up with her, or like why he engages with her still. They make up, but then they low-key fight again, but then they find out that they're now neighbors because you know, she got a house. She got a house, but she couldn't go to Harvard. And then she has a confrontation with her mother after this happens, after the the house because she's like, why the fuck would you give me an entire house? And she goes, do you think Lottie made me work at the cash register all those years? And then Blair goes, yes, I say, honestly. I mean, not like forced you, but like gave you a job, yeah. And then the mom goes, no, I begged Lottie to let me do that. She would have just let me live in her house with you. She probably would have paid for everything for both of us. She loved you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You have no idea how much she loved you. You were like the daughter she always wanted, truly. And it's like, yeah, I mean, and I think it's a little bit frustrating because I just could not understand from the context I was given why the main character would ever think anything different. Like, it was so clear to me the entire time that was what was going on, and I could not understand why Blair would think any other way. You understand what I mean? It was very frustrating for me as the reader, because I was like, why is this like such artificial conflict? Because this lady, why would she be evil? So I'm glad they're having this conversation now that she's out of college. It's definitely not too late. She goes to the house. She goes, my eyes catch on Divergent. One of my favorite YA dystopian series is in 6th grade. Thank you for being hyper specific on that. I love Theo James. Was just talking about him the other day. Isn't it funny to have the ability to recognize someone by the precise position of their legs, the degree each foot faces, the exact angle at which they relax when they sit? Nee. She also gets the number from some random dude who doesn't matter. And then Declan is of course jealous, and she thinks in her head, a boy taking me out and then dropping me would be an interesting side plot at best. And I think it's always really icky when grown people refer to men and women as boys and girls. What the fuck do you mean a boy? That's a grown man. Suit yourself. I clamp my lips together and will my tear ducts to dry. Tear ducts, okay. I think overall, like, the writing isn't more weird or cringe than any other contemporary romance. Like, every time I read contemporary romance, there's always lines like this where I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Just write normally. Basically, since they're neighbors now, he recounts to her the accident. 60% in, they clear things up, meaning he tells her about after the accident and that he wrote a letter. She reacts poorly, as she always does to anything he says. They decide to be just friends, which is where the title comes from. I'm so glad I took at least 2 notes. He was hit by a car and his left femur was broken along with a dislocated shoulder, and he had a concussion. I was correct with remembering that they broke up because of his silly recommendation of just coming to college with him. She was fed up with this. Then he got into an accident, or he was hit by a car and in the hospital, and she never came to visit him. Yeah. And I don't remember the reasoning for her never visiting him in the hospital, but arguably it doesn't really matter to me, because if you wanted to, you would have visited him. What the fuck? So, if we understand this correctly as a collective, they had this fight with the college. She walked out on him. He had an accident. She never came to visit. They are now reconciling. So he tells her all of this, and she basically goes, I wish I would have done a million things differently, but I'm not the only one to blame. She tells him. To his fucking face. And he goes, you just left, you walked out, and it was from me telling you to follow me to college, which I regret now, of course, but I don't think you understand that I chased my football career because I loved it, yes, but when it came to you, I only loved so much because it could provide for us. That was my way of loving you, being able to provide for you. But you took it like a slap to the face. And she goes, I didn't take it like a slap to the face. And he goes, you practically accused me of being your father. And she goes, I know that sounds harsh, Blair, and I'm sorry, but no, I interrupt, I did do that. But I think we both know by now it was more about me not becoming my mother than you being anything like my father. And it's like, she is so unlikable, genuinely. Every time in the present they interact, they fight to a certain extent, and just with all of this context, I understand you are traumatized to a certain extent, but if you truly knew that man, you knew that he didn't mean it like that. And especially, he got into an accident. I don't remember why she didn't visit him. Maybe the mom said don't visit him, but it's like, don't you have phones? That's why I'm asking, what time are we in? Manic Pixie Dream Girl? Don't we have phones? No? Then it turns out that he wrote her a letter after the accident, He goes, why didn't you write me back? And she goes, what do you mean write you back? And he goes, my letter. She goes, your letter? What are you talking about? And he goes, you never got it. He stays, face turning grave. And it turns out that his mom ended up like not delivering the letter to Blair, so she never got it. And it was an apology letter, but I think that this again is super weak. We got phones, digitalization, but honestly, maybe I take it back, because the mom is taking stock notes per hand. So maybe, you know, maybe it all fits. But it doesn't, you know, it doesn't all fit. And I don't understand why you would make that the miscommunication or the issue, why they haven't been talking to each other for the past 5 years or whatever, because of a letter she never got. And he got into an accident, she never reached out. Make the mom the villain, but like, if you wanted to, you would have. And I don't believe it, you know. If I put myself in her shoes, if I truly loved him, I have to imagine it being my boyfriend. No, I would have dumped him. No, I'm kidding, of course. Like, I would have moved mountains to get in contact with that man again. No matter how mean he was to me. If he got in a fucking accident, like, I would have to talk to him. Maybe not no matter how mean he was to me, but you know what I mean. I think we get the letter at the end, and I didn't read it. I really don't care. And oh yeah, you know what the best part is? What she replies to him saying, you never got my letter. She goes, let us get lost all the time, Declan. I think I should be the one wary that this letter even exists. I'm sorry, but this is and it kind of reflects Haley, actually. I think Haley is very unlikable for me. She became very unlikable personally. I don't really like her. I don't like her content. I don't like her personality. And that's fine. But how could you write this character and think, yeah, people are gonna root for her. People are gonna be like, yeah, he faked the letter. What the fuck kind of conclusion is that? Oh yeah, this is also great. She nods quickly. I've overlapped or forgotten to schedule multiple employees for their usual hours, and every time it feels like I've just messed up their entire livelihoods, and I feel so bad. I didn't think managing 7 locations would be easy, but I am so sorry, America. If you have 7 stores and you're the one manager for it, what the fuck? What the fuck do you mean there's one manager for 7 locations? What do you mean she has to make the schedule for all employees of all 7 locations? What the fuck? I don't think that's real. And if it is, then I'm truly sorry, because that's insane. She goes, the hit and the hospital and the recovery, but I never pictured you sad or scared. Bitch. Then she says to him, Randall sounds like a piece of work, in reference to his father, which you've been friends for 12 years. You don't know his father? He sounds like a piece of work? You know him. You've met this man, I hope. Oh, and then 68% in, he goes, I thought you knew what? That I was the owner of the coffee shop? Of what else, bitch? Yes, Blair, he chuckles. The sound is light and sweet. You didn't know? I knew that. I've been saying that the entire fucking video. Just shows that she isn't really good at comprehension. Then the girl working at the coffee shop who's like out of high school or in high school, like she's a teenager, she goes, because he's always yapping about you, and he's always what? I cry. Yapping, she replies, you know, like Blair this and Blair that non-stop. She's explaining to her what yapping means, as if what the fuck? I'm 25 and I use yap all the time colloquially. After filming the first part of this video, I fell mysteriously ill overnight, which prohibited me from continuing this video. So if you ever wonder why it takes so long for me to produce content, there was a curse on me. I think I can only film rant videos in one go, because otherwise the author will get wind of it and put a curse on me. So I get sick overnight. That was yesterday. Now I feel better. You can't keep me down. I think I'm just gonna tell you the ending of this book so we can talk about the quotes. Blair and Declan end up together. They end up getting married, and she ends up publishing her book that she was writing throughout the book. Honestly, Sophie, doesn't really matter. But of course that's the end of it. That's the end of the book, right? How did we get there doesn't really matter. They keep having miscommunications and fighting, and then at some point they're like, no, actually we want to be together. We are still, this is so fucking annoying. We're still attracted to one another. Why aren't we just together? Why is the word Lorax, that's not how you say that. Lorax? Lorax. Lorax. In the back, it's because she mentions the Lorax twice, which is weird. Let's talk about the rest of the book first, and then I'll have to look it up because for some reason I didn't mark a single Lorax quote, even though it's the back. We don't talk, but he turns up the song that was already playing. How deep is your love? How deep is your... by the Bee Gees. Never mind. She wanted to be profound and reference the Bee Gees. Or the Beach Boys, or whatever. Then, of course, after telling each other they're going to be just friends, they realize they don't want to be just friends, so she goes, I don't want to be your friend either, Declan. I whisper, something flashes in his eyes like he's passing through the realm of disbelief to awe and wonder, and then his mouth crashes into mine. His lips taste the same. It's the first conscious thought I have when our lips meet. Why did I want to pronounce it like that? But then his hand drifts from my hair around to cup my jaw like he needs to feel all of me to make sure I'm real. Well, if he wants to feel all of you, he got to touch your butt. We're not doing this. This is a Christian romance. Come here, he whispers into my mouth, and I laugh by his ear as he helps me climb on top of him. Oh no. So they just make out, but he does not get a boner, because that would be sin. You didn't see how much of my indecision with the cottage came from it being across the street from you, because they're neighbors. Oh yeah, right. Blair had been debating with herself whether she was going to stay in Seabrook, California or go to New York City, New York, because, you know, she has a job there or something waiting for her, but she also got a house. And then there was like this subplot of her having a real estate agent come to sell the house, like she wanted to sell it, which I didn't really comprehend that. You got gifted a house, you got gifted a property by the sea, to my understanding fully paid off, like it's yours. Whatever, I don't know, I've never gotten a property, I don't know how that works, especially not in Seabrook, California. Why is your first thought, I want to sell it? Keep it, girl. What the fuck? Declan's mouth parts to speak, but nothing comes out, like he's so stunned by the realization that a cough of a laugh escapes instead. I must be daft, I guess. Yeah, I chortle, and British. I didn't get that. Because of Daft Punk? Are Daft Punk British? We're at the end of the book. They end up getting together. She decides to stay in Seabrook in her house that she got from her grandma, aunt. She decides to not pursue her career in finance and instead publish her book that she was writing, allegedly. I point at my mom's first post in 13 years. First Facebook post in 13 years. It's a photo of her in a red mini dress holding a bright orange drink on a white sand beach. There's a lot of colors. Sunset colors paint the sunset colors, okay. Paint the sky behind the massive smile parting her face. It reads, you are looking at a retired woman, woohoo, and look at my baby. She wrote her first book. That's right, my baby wrote a book. Link to buy my baby's book. Go buy that sucker so I can keep being retired. Text or call me because like I said, I'm a retired woman. Woohoo. Okay. Managing all the convenience stores, quickly switched to trying to sell them. So she was the manager of all 7 convenience stores? Still does not make any sense to me. With Declan and his father's connections, we sold them to a sweet Korean family from San Francisco who moved down to Seabrook to run them. I still maintain a part-time consulting position, and in my free time, I shop my currently self-published book around to literary agents. Life is worth living. She's just living the best life. Everything just works out for her. Yeah. I take it from him with a shaking hand and unfurl it. Declan's delicate handwriting comes into view. Will you marry me? It is scrawled in black ink, indented by the paper's folds. Folds. I know something else that's called folds. At the depths of the creases, it looks like it's been folded for years. A tear falls from my face onto my shaking hands. And when I look up, Declan is down on one knee, holding a diamond ring inside a velvet box. Here's the actual rock I would like to offer you. He jokes with a sideways smile. Will you marry me? Yes, yes, 1,000,000 times, yes. Oh my gosh. Never says God, of course, that would be blasphemous. Declan, you never would have known you were hit by a car with the way you throw me around. I'm not sure if that's the right thing to say right now. Not sure if we should bring it up right now. What does the book end on? The tiniest tug of grief threatens to pull me out of this moment as I remember Lottie's absence, which is the great aunt. But when I look at Declan's beaming face, I know that even having lost someone I loved, I have gained another someone back and I will never lose him again. That's how the book ends. Rip Lottie, of course. If you turn the page after the book is done, it says you can get an exclusive behind-the-scenes annotated chapter by Pham, and that's of course what I've been wanting. And I did mark a few things. I didn't read the whole chapter again because I have to say, like, I was just kind of over it at that point. So here's the highlights. I think it's just 2 things. The commentary that she does for the chapter is just her, like, explaining everything that's like I know. Like, yeah. It says, I left to Easter, in parentheses, I definitely have this in common with Blair. Honesty of my admission, in parentheses, I definitely have this in common with Blair. Why did she say it twice? What else you guys have in common? Maybe everything? And then another line, she has underlined and written, I definitely have this in common with Blair. Maybe it looks different if you have a physical version, right? But for the digital version, it looks a little bit silly. Then she has a line that goes, laughter, begetting laughter, begetting laughter. And then her annotation is, they're laughing because they can't believe that they're finally on a date, which is like, okay, really? And then it also says, I wanted to subtly reference my favorite book, and this line is a spin on a line in the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. His sentence is, so, his, like, small n, not capital letter, lowercase, lowercase n, capital H, I-S. Okay, typo. His sentence is, death begets death, begets death. So mine is, laughter begetting laughter. It literally says right there, girl. Like, I can see it still, right now. And she goes, a happy spin. Okay. Oh, I think we talked about this when she was talking to Declan about the fact that she can't go to a school because her mom's broke, but like her aunt is rich, which they never talked about. Apparently going to college, I don't really know. I legitimately can't go to a single school I spent all this time applying to unless I get a full ride, full not half, not a quarter, full. In parentheses, when I wanted to go to college for dance, I realized this to be true, and realizing that at 17 is pretty scary. What I mean is, I grew up in this town because my great aunt could afford it, so I hung out with the kids whose parents could afford it, and I started to forget that I wasn't like them. In parentheses, this was also a realization I had at 17. USC or NYU or Chapman were $65K a year. That was a harsh realization. Girl, you dropped out because you were blowing off on YouTube. Up, not off, sorry. It's like, okay, America sucks. That maybe should have been a realization. She, of course, thanks Ryan. You listened to my crazy plot ideas and helped me work out every flaw. He also didn't realize that one man job for 7 convenience stores is a bit unrealistic, or what were the crazy plot twists? What were the crazy plot ideas specifically? Did he tell you not to write them, or? Because I didn't see none of the crazy ideas in this book. So let's look up the Lorax. That's it, by the way. That's all I have. That's all I got. In chapter 4, she says branches have moss that look like the Lorax's fingers. And then in chapter 19 it says, enough to sit on, and the fluffy Lorax looking branches make a flat canopy above my head. So it's always in reference to branches, the Lorax's fingers, but using it as an analogy twice is a little bit weird to me. Okay, the Lorax has weird looking fingers. There's branches. Let's reference him twice. Just kind of feels like to me she wanted to have references in the book, because maybe that's what Emily Henry does. Again, I don't know, because I've never read a book of hers. And she was like, I've watched the Lorax. I know the Lorax. What did you guys think about this book? Were you, yeah, happy? Were you maybe sad? Do you not care? Honestly, I don't care. I just think it's really funny that it was like exactly the way that I would have pictured it beforehand, just off of the cover. The cover is literally her and her husband. Like, what the fuck? I don't know if... I mean, you write what you know, I guess. But... what else is she going to write? That's just my biggest question, my biggest surprise in my life. If she went on to publish like a fantasy, maybe I would read it, or if people told me to read it, or if I didn't have anything else to read, then I would read it. So there's a possibility. But romance is just so repetitive. Yeah, and that's why I don't like it. I only like romance shows. But of course I have to do my duty and review these books for you guys, so you know what you're missing out on. So nothing, basically. Yeah, if you guys have any opinion, then let me know, but I don't think really there's any opinion to have on this book. It's just like, okay, next. Realistically, it wasn't much worse than, again, I think I said this in the beginning, any of the other romance books that I've read. Or most of the other romance books, normal romance books that I've read. It fits perfectly in there. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think or thunk about this book. If you read it, if you didn't read it, if you care, if you don't care. How cute my pimple patch is. If you have any recommendations for me to read, if there's any new releases that I should read, or old releases, but maybe I will and maybe I won't. Thank you so much for watching. Of course I love you. I hope you stay happy, you stay healthy, peace and love, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.